Good evening from the JMC's Orr studio here on the campus of Abilene Christian University. I'm Tyler Henderson, senior journalism major from Waco, and on behalf of the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, welcome. Thanks to everyone joining us this evening. We hope you were able to participate in one of the alumni Zoom rooms that took place earlier this evening, and we hope that you were able to connect with some college friends and meet some of us who are current students in the department. We love meeting alumni, hearing your stories, and gaining insights from your wisdom. We want to recognize all of our sponsors who are making this event possible tonight. Our event sponsors are Dr. Charlie and Peggy Marler, Dr. Cheryl Mann Bacon, Gary and Leanne Thornton, Martin and Mary Perry, and Alicia Phillips Pierce. Our award ceremony sponsors are Dr. Kenneth and Amy Pybus, and our Zoom Room networking sponsors are Robin Saylor, April Ward Ferris, Dave Swearingen, Courtney McInnes Parrott, Jim and Elaine Orr, and Joyce and Al Haley. Thank you to all of our student sponsors and those who served as Zoom Room hosts tonight. And thank you to members of the university's leadership who are joining us on the stream. Dr. Phil Schubert, president of the university, Dr. Robert Rhodes, university provost, Dr. Susan Lewis, vice provost, Jim Orr, vice president of advancement, Dr. Greg Strawn, dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and Craig Fisher, director of alumni relations. Now, Nathan Gibbs, assistant professor of journalism and mass communication, will begin our ceremony in prayer. Nathan?
Thanks, Tyler. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, with humble hearts, we kneel before you. Our greatest achievements pale in comparison to your power. We stand together recognizing you as our Almighty God, the creator of heaven and earth. And we thank you for Abilene Christian University, for its students, its staff, faculty, and alumni, for using them to impact the world around us in your name. We thank you for the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication for using its students, staff, alumni, and faculty to shine your light in the world. Thank you for this ceremony. May the faith of those honored here tonight be strengthened as they continue to serve you through the dedication and excellence they show in their daily lives. We ask for your favor on our friends and family who are sick and recovering from COVID-19. Heal their bodies, lift their spirits, knowing they are loved by you and all those around them. And protect our students, staff, faculty, and alumni from this virus. We ask that you would bring it to an end quickly, to remove it from this world, according to your will. And bless this night, in Jesus' name, amen.
We will honor 3 alumni of the JMC department tonight. Our first honoree is Chelsea Thornton Buchholtz. Chelsea graduated from ACU in 2001 with a degree in advertising and public relations. She went on to earn a law degree from Pepperdine University, and Chelsea is currently the executive director of the Texas Real Estate Commission in Austin and had an impressive career in the Texas Governor's Office and the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. She was named ACU's Young Alumna of the Year in 2017. Our second honoree is Taylor Hemness. Taylor graduated from ACU in 2004 with a degree in journalism, and he has served as a news anchor at KSHB-TV in Kansas City since 2017. Taylor had previously reported and anchored at stations in Tyler, Lufkin, San Angelo, and here in Abilene. And then last but not least, our third Gutenberg honoree is Daniel Johnson Kim. Daniel is head of media liaison at 72 Point, a New York-based company that helps deliver media coverage for America's leading brands and PR agencies. He earned his bachelor's degree in journalism at ACU and his master's degree in journalism from the Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kenneth Pybus, chair of the department.
Thank you, Tyler, and thank you all for joining us tonight. Thanks to all the alums, students, and faculty for connecting in the Zoom rooms that took place earlier this evening. That's what Gutenberg has been about for a long time, showcasing our outstanding alums and letting our students benefit from their experience. This is likely the most unusual Gutenberg event the department has ever conducted. We considered it doing live. We thought about doing a Zoom event. I'm definitely glad we rejected the TikTok dance-off idea. Instead, we decided to show off our JMC studio and give our honorees a chance to join us from where they are and let our students join from where they are. Like everyone, the coronavirus has forced us to rethink how we do things. But the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication isn't just reacting, we're adapting. We've long been a hands-on department with a face-to-face culture. And that's certainly been a challenge in an age of hand sanitizer and face masks and Zoom. We're wearing our masks, we're staying 6 feet apart, our classes have been scattered throughout campus for the semester. But we're finding ways to continue to do the things that have always been central to what we do. The common denominator among our majors, journalism, advertising and public relations, and multimedia, is still storytelling. All of our majors learn to use media tools to tell stories to a wide range of audiences. That's everything from writing and photography to video, web, and social media. Our classes have been meeting face-to-face in larger rooms or over Zoom, but we still see faculty-student interaction as crucial to learning. In addition, each of our students are continuing to spend multiple semesters on the staffs at one of our 5 student organizations, putting into practice what they learn in the classroom. For the last few years, ACU-TV has provided video production services for events all over campus. On football and basketball game days, the control room is filled with students helping to produce the scoreboard presentation, as well as ESPN3 and ESPN Plus coverage. We also produce commencement, the annual sing-song show, concerts, lectures, and other activities from our control room. But the importance of our studio to the university has become even greater in the age of social distancing. We've hosted more than a dozen academic showcases for the university's recruiting office over the summer and have been the go-to venue when the administration needs to connect with faculty, students, or parents in virtual town hall sessions. 99 West Media, our student-run commercial video agency, has offered hands-on experience for students majoring in multimedia and planning careers in media production, commercial video, and filmmaking.
When I came into college, I thought that I wanted to be a producer. And it wasn't until I worked with a 99 West crew where they gave me the opportunity to shoot something, and I absolutely fell in love with it, and it was amazing, and I really haven't stopped doing it since. I've learned a lot in my time here, and I'm excited to keep learning.
I want to be a director or work as a first AC, so this job has actually given me a ton of leadership experience and a ton of first AC experience too, and I didn't even know what a first AC was before I came here. And so like getting to find out what I wanted to do and like how that has impacted, I don't know, just my career. I'm excited to see where I go from here with the knowledge that I've learned at 99 West.
Staff members learn production skills through creative projects and professional work for commercial clients. Many of those students participate in ACU's annual Film Fest, and the award winners in that event are typically 99 West Media team members and multimedia majors. KSHB, Abilene's NPR-affiliated radio station, gives students the opportunity to serve as on-air announcers, news anchors, and reporters.
KSHB has definitely been a stepping stone in my media career. Being able to be a reporter / host and producer, that's just an awesome opportunity I wouldn't get at a different college. And I really appreciate the ACU Department of Journalism helping us out with this and being able to have such a program like this.
In recent months, the station has become a hub for reliable information about state and local response to the coronavirus, producing a daily email newsletter that's keeping our local community informed.
KSHB has just definitely been able to help the community in a COVID crisis when not all the information you see on TV can be accurate.
The station reaches more than 10,000 people each week at 89.5 FM and online at kshu.org. The Optimist, the university's student news operation, continues to produce a daily news website with a robust social media presence and a weekly newscast and sportscast. Students working in the Student Media News Lab produce video, news stories, photo covers, the full range of mass communication news media. The coronavirus that closed campus for the second half of the spring led the staff to stop its print publication, but they continued to work hard, providing students scattered throughout the state and the country with campus-specific news. Even as they've returned to campus, they have focused primarily on covering news online.
It's definitely been a challenge, but it's something that we're really starting to realize is the normal for us, and it's now become more of a day-to-day for us. Now, obviously, we typically try to have weekly meetings with our entire staff. With 50 people on staff, we just can't manage to do that in one building. So we've been focusing on messaging online, and then we meet with smaller groups, primarily the editorial board, in person, socially distanced with masks.
Of course, the pandemic has touched on nearly every story they've covered. At the same time, COVID-19 has affected the way they've had to report. But their engagement with their audience has never been more vibrant, and the importance of the stories they tell has never been greater. Morris & Mitchell, our student-run ad PR agency, for several years has been providing real-time, hands-on experience in research, strategy, concept, and production for ad PR majors. The agency offers a range of services to both paying and pro bono clients. And while the Morris & Mitchell staff has had to adapt to the coronavirus as well, they've continued to serve their clients. Among those clients each year is the JMC department and our Gutenberg event. This year's Gutenberg planning was substantially impacted by the pandemic, as we've been moved to virtual and streaming event from a face-to-face networking event. But what the students have gained in organizing and responding to the COVID-related challenges have been an unparalleled educational experience.
COVID-19 this semester has been a bit of a challenge for Morris & Mitchell, but I think that we've adapted really well. We have Zoom rooms set up for our staff meetings and our leadership meetings if anybody needs to Zoom in for any reason. And we've been working really well with our clients, and I think that we've learned how to communicate well and effectively with our clients without being able to see them in person.
It's a lot different this year because of COVID, and obviously we had to prepare for that, and it's something that has never been done before in terms of planning for Gutenberg being virtual and not knowing what's going to happen and having to have a plan B. I've been working closely with the creative team at Morris & Mitchell and getting graphics out for postcards, for emails, just getting all of that in preparation for the day of the event.
So my role as group account director has had to adapt due to COVID-19. This year it's become increasingly important for me to communicate with my team and to encourage them in everything that they're doing. I've had to communicate with my advisors on a daily basis to make sure that everything is happening in the order it needs to happen. And so that has been a challenge, but it's been a challenge that I've loved getting to take on.
Despite COVID, we continue to be a nationally accredited program with a rich commitment to our faith heritage. We continue to combine top-notch, rigorous academic training with the Christian mentorship that we've always provided. And despite the myriad ways we've had to respond to the pandemic, that's something that won't change. For 28 years, the department has been awarding Gutenbergs each year to alumni who have distinguished themselves in a wide array of industries. To be eligible, alumni must have been graduated for 10 years, and their body of work must distinguish them, the department, and the university. We accept nominations from alumni and others, and the selection is by a consensus from the faculty. Each honoree will receive a miniature Gutenberg press, a scale replica of the printing press created by Johann Gutenberg in 1454 in Mainz, Germany. The Gutenberg reflects the mission of the university and its Department of Journalism and Mass Communication. The Gutenberg press opened the pages of the Bible to the individual worshiper, and its influence spread throughout the world, leading to a renaissance in critical thinking, enlightening minds to the value of representative government, and clearing the path for new educational forms in mass communication. Gutenberg changed the world, just as we challenge our students to change their worlds. The scale models, as I say here, were built from kits marketed in the Gutenberg Museum in Mainz and distributed by Authentic Models of Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Nearly 3 decades ago, Dr. Charlie Marler, who was chair of the department at the time, together with his administrative coordinator, Diane Atchison, tracked down and purchased every single Gutenberg press like this known to exist. Each year, they are painstakingly sanded, stained, and assembled in Charlie's workshop. Our first 2020 Gutenberg honoree is Chelsea Thornton Buchholtz, a 2001 ACU graduate and the executive director of the Texas Real Estate Commission in Austin. Representing the JMC department in Austin and presenting the honor to Chelsea is her father, Gary Thornton, an Austin attorney and former member of the university's Board of Trustees. Gary served in the JMC department as an instructor of journalism and mass communication from 1976 to 1979. Most importantly, he was a 1993 recipient of the department's Gutenberg Award, which makes Chelsea the department's first second-generation recipient of the award. What an accomplished family. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Gary.
Hello from Austin, Texas, and greetings to everyone there, the JMC faculty, students, guests, and especially the two former students, Taylor and Daniel, who are the other two recipients of tonight's series of awards. Your first award recipient tonight is Chelsea Thornton Buchholtz. From the very early age of just a few months, perhaps a year old, when Chelsea was able to string enough words together to make a full sentence, it is our family's unanimous decision that that sentence was, "You are not the boss of me." That typified the independence, the character, the drive of Chelsea Buchholtz in her early youth. When she was 3 months old, we picked up from Abilene and moved to Malibu and Pepperdine University, where I was to attend law school and teach Mass Comm in the communications department. But what we noticed was there was immediate attraction between Chelsea, and a lady by the name of Jamie Phillips. Jamie was the wife of the dean of the law school, but she was also highly intelligent and bold. She and Chelsea were great buds together, and it affected Chelsea greatly because she walked away with Jamie's spirit, tenacity, and her character and charity. Jamie was a great lover of giving. From there, we came back to Austin for a judicial clerkship with the Texas Supreme Court and Chief Justice Jack Pope. Chelsea fell in love with Jack Pope. He was a man of small stature, but was a giant man of character and intelligence in certain areas of the law. And he was of the opinion that you needed to take care of your little ones. He would give Chelsea a chance up on top of his big judicial desk to show off her latest dance moves. And he was one who was not afraid to get in the floor with children. And with Chelsea and Megan, he allowed them to play beauty parlor with his stiff gray hair. So with their bows and pins, they tried to get it to lay down. They were unsuccessful all year long. Chelsea walked away from that, or took from Judge Pope's being around, and she left with this: "You are never so important not to get on the floor with, as Jesus says, the least of these." In high school, she had some wonderful teachers through a great system, but no greater teacher was there than Susan Brown. Mrs. Brown was as hard as nails, and she was a woman of color. She left Chelsea with two distinct lessons. One, you have to work hard. I mean, really work hard. And two, you should treat every person with equal respect. At ACU, she had some wonderful teachers, professors. She became a Pope Fellow. And thanks to Gary and Sylvia McCaleb, she had a home away from home. Now, if you know Sylvia, you know that Chelsea got a strong shot of firm, feminine direction. Then at Pepperdine University School of Law, she had some great legal minds as professors, including Dean Ron Phillips, who checked on her all 3 years of law school and kept track. And in fact, he still does. At every career move almost, he checks in with Chelsea as to how she's doing. One of the greater influences in law school for Chelsea was her roommate, 87-year-old Helen Young, the widow of Norval Young, who was the past president of Pepperdine. When he died, there was room left in Helen's house, and she invited Chelsea to share it. She was a senior member of the Board of Development Board, even at age 87 at Pepperdine, where she cultivated and nurtured good friends and patrons of the university. More than that, she was a picture of grace and diplomacy, and Chelsea learned at the feet of Helen patience, gentleness, and persistence. After studying and passing the bar exam, which is a monster of a test, as some of you know, she became briefing attorney for the Fourth Court of Appeals, covering appeals for 32 counties in Texas. That court was uniquely all females. 7 women left Chelsea with the lessons that enlightened her and taught her that the sky's the limit in the judicial field for women. After that judicial clerkship, she returned to Austin and obtained a starting position as an attorney working in Governor Rick Perry's office. After several months, she got a call from the governor's legal strategist wanting Chelsea to join a team that was being formed that was combining 2 very troubled agencies into one. They were going to call it the Texas Juvenile Justice System. She became an attorney with them, and later the general counsel, and later the chief of staff. Now that chief of staff position required her to do some budgeting, which always requires work with the legislature. And she was constantly in battle, political battles, arguments, being constantly on call, fighting, redoing legislation, and all that goes on in the halls of the state capitol politically. Needless to say, she was glad to find a less political job when she became legal counsel for the General Land Office. She was in charge of it, or she was on a team that distributed about $1 million in aid to those damaged by Hurricane Harvey. And more recently, just a little more than a year ago, she was asked to consider a completely different arena as an attorney with the Texas Real Estate Commission. She quickly became general counsel and is presently the executive director of that agency. As you can tell, over the years, she has received some wonderful advice, care. She's been helped, she's been encouraged, and she's walked along with a lot of people who gave her opportunities and challenges in the area of state government. About 4 years ago, however, she experienced the most challenging and never-ending position, that of motherhood. She and her husband Scott birthed Rosemary Drake Buchholtz. It's interesting that I got Rosemary and Chelsea all in one there, because it's our family's firm opinion that what Chelsea sees in Rosemary is what she was as a child. It is with great pleasure that I ask Chelsea now to come to the podium and receive this award. Chelsea, it is of great personal pride that I get to say, Chelsea Thornton Buchholtz, I am here to award you as a former student and then as a faculty member with the Journalism Mass Comm department, this handcrafted duplicate of the Gutenberg printing press and the Gutenberg Award for the year 2020. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dad. Well, thank you, Dad. And thanks, Dr. Pybus in the Journalism Mass Communication Department at Abilene Christian University. Congratulations to the 2 much younger, more quickly accomplished recipients tonight, Taylor and Daniel. I am in very good company, and it is an honor to share this experience with you. I look forward to someday soon being in the same room with you and shaking your hand. I remember sitting at the Gutenberg Award ceremony feeling very important when my father received this award in the early 90s. I was so full of pride for his work and the fact that his university was honoring him. As a young high school student, it felt really big, and it was. And now, to receive this same award, I think, well, wow, how on earth did this happen? Do they know me? And do they know that I basically just go to meetings all day, every day? It's funny, I go to work every day, like many of you, and I work to be who I have been taught and molded to be. I strive to be the best version of myself, and by God's grace, sometimes that happens. But it seems impossible for the rhythm of normal life to culminate into an experience like this one, a big, sweet, monumental day. It does not seem like it could have been made from the monotony of the everyday work. And so thank you again, Dr. Pybus, and for all of those who are a part of this award. I am deeply humbled. I am a working mother, a hands-on, 100% starry-eyed mom of the most precious, almost 4-year-old little girl named Rosemary. I like to drop Rosemary off at preschool and play on the floor, mostly pretend, and be her primary person. I am also one who likes to do things at home, like bake bread and plan our meals for the week. Oh, the excitement. I want to spend meaningful time with my husband, and I long to be an active member in our church. And I run this small little agency that licenses and regulates those in the Texas real estate industry. It's about 200,000 license holders, and I am the first woman in that role. But I am not a pioneer. The pioneers are a generation ahead of me, and I would be remiss to have anything to say tonight without acknowledging the barriers that I do not face because of those who have come before. I am grateful for that work and proud of it. But I do want to say to all young women that it is impossible to have it all at the same time. I outsource a lot of my life, and I cannot do some things because of the hats that I have chosen to wear in this season today. And that is okay. I think it is possible to have it all over the course of a lifetime, but logistically, at the same time, is a challenge. So I encourage you all to be kind to yourself and to let what is important rise to the top. And don't do what all others are doing. You do you. I have been able to be fully me because of the support of my family, namely my parents, who have always told me that I could do anything, my sister, Megan, who is my greatest cheerleader, and my husband, Scott, who carries part of the mental load at home so that we can each build our careers. When I came to Abilene Christian, I waffled between a major in political science or a journalism major. I settled, I think within my first few weeks, in JMC as an advertising public relations major, knowing that I wanted to go to law school, but I wanted to make sure that, number one, I had an employable backup plan, and number two, the ability to write. The JMC department gave me both. It also gave me strong teaching from some of the greats, Dr. Bacon, Dr. Marler, just to name a few. I think my dad taught Dr. Bacon, so that seemed to come full circle. And Dr. Marler taught both of us, I believe. I think I spelled the word precedent wrong twice in his communication law class. I haven't done that since, but I should not have made that mistake twice in his class. I worked very hard in that communication law class so that on my final, all I needed was something like a 50 or a 60 to keep an A in the class. I told Dr. Marler that this was my plan, and he tried to convince me why I should study enough to get an A on the final, even though I didn't need it. He calls his students to excellence. I know, all of you know that. It's only more recently that I could figure out why on earth you would study more than your grade required. A call to excellence. Now, I did not have a traditional communication journalism path. I took a year off after college, moved to London, and then went to Pepperdine Law School. Soon after law school and clerking, I began my career in Austin in the law and in state government. And in this career, I have relied on what I learned at ACU, to be salt and light in the world. Here's what I mean. The world of state government is small. We know all the same people, and they tend to pop up repeatedly over one's career. I learned early that the advice given to me by an ACU alum was going to be a key to my success, and that is, my only currency is my word. Stanton Calvert instilled this in me, and what he meant was that any misguidance that I were to provide of someone like the governor, or a member of the legislature, or even someone who advised one of those, and I would be worthless. Memories are long in this small world, and second chances are very hard to come by. And as such, maintaining high character, being honest always, and keeping confidence is really one's only currency. This often means holding my tongue, which, as you likely know based on my father's introduction, is something that is not natural for me. Along the way, I learned another lesson by an irreverent but soft-hearted former boss, and that is treat people well. Do right by people, all people. Even while overseeing hundreds of employees, he, my former boss, wanted to know each one of them and learn about their families. He was generous to celebrate others, and he would give days off to our very tired, overworked line staff who worked hourly, shift-based, dangerous jobs. He would explain to me in a very raspy voice, "Chelsea, it's a risk to give time off like this." He meant politically. "But if you can do it, it will come back to you 100-fold. Boy, is that ever true. Doing right by those who do what I call the real work is a key to leadership. Being in tune with what they need and fulfilling it. That has never been more true than in this season, when all have such personal burdens associated with this pandemic. I hear my boss's voice in my head as I try to fulfill that good guidance. And so I have learned, for me, success has come by keeping consistent with the basics, being true to my word, and doing right by people. These concepts are just part of being salt and light in the world, something I learned at Abilene Christian and something I know they still teach. And let me tell you, the world of politics and Texas state government is hungry for a little salt and light. I'm grateful to ACU for a network of people who know me and care about me because of our common love for our great university and the God that we serve. Even my Aggie husband says that the camaraderie of our university is unlike anything he has ever seen. And so tonight, I thank you. Thank you for this honor in this unique way, in this unique year. I am forever grateful.
In the fall of 2000, Taylor Hemness was in my Creating Media Messages class, part of a learning community that I taught with Dr. Mel Haley of the Political Science Department and Jenna Sadler from Art and Design. He sat at the front corner desk nearest the printer room. Fresh out of the booming metropolis of Groveton, Texas, he already had some gray in his temples, a broadcast voice, and really big glasses. He was smart, a great writer, and had a deadly sense of humor, especially when he was poking fun at himself. He wanted to be a broadcast anchor, and we all knew one day that would happen. As a student, Taylor took advantage of every opportunity to talk on a mic. Some would say he took advantage of every opportunity to talk. He announced ACU basketball. He anchored the weekly sports program on ACU-TV called On the Ball. He worked at KACU, got an internship at KXAS in Dallas, and when I got a call from KTAB looking for a weekend sports anchor, he was the first person I thought of. So for the last 3 semesters he was a student, he also anchored their sportscast every Saturday and Sunday nights. Fast forward through stints in San Angelo, Lufkin, Tyler, and finally Kansas City, and some things have changed. But those important things that we saw back in 2000 have not. He still works hard to be the best he can be. His sincerity and sense of humor still connect with audiences. He can do serious and he can do hilarious. He has a little more gray hair. The glasses are gone. He married Katie Orr, whom he met when she was also a KCU announcer, and they have 3 sons. Twins Thatcher and Corbin, and their big brother Tanner, who was the star in a video that earned Taylor almost 50 million hits online, and the 2 of them were featured on the Steve Harvey Show in Chicago. Here's just a peek at that.
Yeah. A. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find.
B.
Be kind, one to another.
C.
Cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you.
D.
Do not be anxious about anything.
E.
Every good and perfect gift is from above.
In 2017, the Hemness, as Taylor calls the family, moved to Kansas City, where he is the morning anchor for KSHB, the NBC affiliate. In his first 2 years there, he's been nominated 6 times and twice won regional Emmys in the Midwest region. Several months ago, Taylor called me to talk when he was doing research to prepare for a new weekly online feature called Faith in KC, a 30-ish minute interview with leaders and experts in Kansas City's diverse faith communities, examining how faith interacts with the city, with politics, with media, and much more. None of this is surprising. Taylor is genuine and transparent as a news personality in a way that endears him to coworkers and viewers. And after all these years, it still endears him to those fellow students in the Fall 2000 learning community. So I reached out to them for some Taylor stories, and I got more than I can use in these few minutes. Contributions and good wishes came from Ireland, Africa, Massachusetts, and of course, Texas. Courtney McKenna's Parrott of Houston begged me to find the archived video of Taylor's first night on the air at KTAB, when apparently at the end of the broadcast he, quote, freaks out in excitement, and these are Courtney's words, like a teenage prepubescent girl. The anchor next to him gently grabs his wrist and mouths, "You are still on the air." Sadly, that video is gone. Steve Holt, now in the magazine world of Boston, said Taylor's voice could sell a ketchup popsicle to a man in white gloves. He predicts your Gutenberg, Taylor, is just the latest in a string of honors you'll receive. And he added, "I'm proud every day to call you a friend, a brother in faith, and a colleague in this vital profession." Shay Dishman was Taylor's publication design lab instructor and recalls his project. He'd chosen to design a newspaper for the city of Miami. He's a huge Dolphins fan, and all the headlines and faux body copy were full of Will Smith Welcome to Miami lyrics and headlines like "Party in the City where the heat is on." But Shay said, if we were all to place bets about who would be accepting his or her Gutenberg first, we all would have picked Taylor. Several others mentioned a bet about who would be the first in that group to be honored and arranging for him or her to arrive at the Gutenberg celebration by helicopter. Sadly, COVID has kept that debt from being paid. But Brady Lane, who is currently studying Arabic somewhere in Africa after stints as a multimedia aviation journalist, did confess that he and Taylor signed a wager their freshman year about who would be making the most money by age 35. Brady lost the bet, and per their agreement, he flew from Wisconsin to Kansas City to buy Taylor the biggest and most expensive steak in town. But in true Taylor fashion, they just went out for some KC barbecue instead. Before moving to Africa, Brady digitized some old VHS tapes, including one of his projects that featured Taylor from their sophomore year. He actually took the video with him to Africa just in case he might need it, and last week he edited this little gem.
What is your name, and spell it for me if you would?
My name is Taylor Hemness, Taylorhemness.
If you would this time, repeat your name and tell me what your major is and why you chose to major in that field.
It's a very little mic. Should I talk louder?
My name is Taylor Hemness. I'm a sophomore broadcast journalism major here at ACU. I told my dad, I don't know what I'm going to do, Dad. And he said, well, let's analyze this. He said, you love to talk. He said, you're good at sports. You like theater. Go into broadcasting. I was like, Dad, you're a genius. So that's why I'm here. I just like the aspect of being able to tell people what's going on in the world. And plus, it's cool to get to dress up and be on TV. The television show I work for is called On the Ball. It's a sports show that we produce here on campus. It covers ACU, McMurray, and Hardin-Simmons athletics. I'm the Hardin-Simmons anchor for On the Ball. I've always enjoyed using my voice and doing the whole broadcast voice and then radio voice and everything.
And number 15, a 5'8", sophomore, Samantha Davis.
The first time I ever did the reporting, I was scared to death, nervous. I've learned that it's really not that tough to do. You just sit and let the camera look at you and make friends with the camera because it loves you. It really does. I just want to do news somewhere in a big market, CNN, ABC. I know you got to start small, but I intend to go somewhere big, hopefully. How many words a minute did you chisel in high school? How many words a minute could you chisel?
Well, me and Johan, we decided the chiseling was real slow, and so we went to movable type early on.
Which has done a lot for the world. I appreciate that. I never knew you were part of that.
Yeah.
Wow. So you could really call it the Gutenberg and Man Award.
No, that'd be a little presumptuous.
Yeah.
He sounds a lot older than me.
He does sound a lot older than you.
It'll be funny to watch in 20 years.
I was one of those people that could write just beautiful, big-worded, really flowery.
Fluff.
Yeah.
Could you sing me a song that you're going to be singing as you present the Gutenberg to me?
What's your name?
Taylor. I'm
Taylor.
Taylor, yeah.
And you're a student here at ACU?
I am a student here at ACU.
Oh, okay.
I think I've seen you around campus.
Yeah.
I'm actually taking one of your classes, as a matter of fact.
No, I've never seen you before.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll be back after this.
Go brush your teeth.
Brady, I've got to go. I'm done. This is through with the interview. I'm through. Goodbye. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. Where's my coffee?
You did go somewhere big, Taylor. But unlike that old song about Kansas City, I don't think you've gone as far as you can go just yet. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of your work. I'm proud of the man you have become. And after sharing Brady's 2001 video, I think it's only fair for our guests to see a glimpse of your more recent work before former Gutenberg honoree Lauren Halifax presents your Gutenberg. Well, it's actually her Gutenberg, but we promise we'll get yours to you soon.
Hi, I'm Lauren Halifax. I work for Fox 4 in Kansas City, and I'm so grateful to be here today with Taylor. We started out at ACU, completely different years. We worked at KTAB, completely different years, almost generations. And then he ends up in Kansas City working for NBC 41 across the street. So I'm excited to be here and so excited for you. Congratulations on this. I really hope that you follow him on social media. Taylor's done a great job of living his faith, not only accomplishing lots of things professionally, but living his faith as he does that. So from his sense of humor and his viral video with his son and all his Star Wars references, you got to make sure you get on those. Make sure you also follow and check out some of his stories, especially his Faith in KC series. If there is ever a time that we need to examine how we can better live our faith and what that looks like, it's 2020. So without further ado, I want to present you with the virtual version of the 2020 Distinguished Alumnus Professional Achievement Award from Abilene Christian University.
Lauren,
congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's really great to have you here, to have not only a fellow ACU alum in Kansas City, but a fellow Gutenberg winner now to talk about this. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to be here with me today. Thank you very, very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Cool to have. This is, if you're not familiar with Kansas City, this is the Nelson Atkins Art Museum behind me. I wanted to show you a little bit of Kansas City as I record this video. So if you've never been here, come. We love it here in Kansas City. I want to, in addition to thanking Lauren for that introduction there, I want to thank Dr. Bacon for her introduction as well. She's meant a great deal to me and my life. I've known her now for 20 years, and she's been involved with me now for 20 years and leading me and guiding me in different ways over that time. I really appreciate her as well. You know, when Kenneth Pybus called me in July, feels like a long time ago now. When he called in July to let me know that I'd been selected, a lot of memories came flooding back. I can remember seeing myself on television for the first time in Abilene when I was doing On the Ball, and it was on Abilene Public Television. I started in sports, and seeing myself on Abilene Public Television was a game changer for me when I was there at ACU. I can remember my first Gutenberg, of course, when I was a freshman in 2000 and seeing some other people and some other alumni winning that award and thinking, I want one of those. And now here it sits, which is just mind-blowing to me. I can think of the first time that I got a chance to work on television there at KTAB when Cheryl Bacon called me in Christmas of 2001 and said, hey, there's a job for you available if you want it, if you want to interview for it. And she hooked me up with that opportunity. I was in no way qualified to do that. I was working for JCPenney in Lufkin, Texas. I got home and my sister said, hey, some doctor called for you. Dr. Bacon, I think was her name. And my thought was, if the chair of the department was calling you over Christmas break, something is terribly wrong. Turned out to be terribly right. And that was my start there in Abilene at KTAB. I can remember my first sportscast in KTAB getting a highlight horribly wrong. I'd never done live television before, trying to watch a monitor, read a teleprompter at the same time, and have any kind of emotion whatsoever. I gave away an entire highlight before it happened, doing a Pittsburgh Steelers highlight. And I can even remember when I was thinking about this, the first voicemail I got from a viewer in which someone called and said, referred to me as that little twit doing the sports, is the first thing he wanted to refer to me as, because I'd made a mistake in one of my coverages, and he was absolutely right. I got it wrong, but little twit doing the sports has stayed with me now for a long, long time. I want to take a moment to thank a few people in addition to Dr. Bacon and all the faculty there that were part of my education. Thank you for this honor. I want to thank, of course, my parents for supporting me. I wouldn't be in this business without my dad. I was going to do something completely different. I was going to teach biology, of all things. And my dad is the one that suggested, hey, you were in sports, you were in theater, why don't you try one of these sportscasting jobs? And I was like, that's a genius idea. I could totally do that. I want to thank my friends who were part of my time at ACU together. You know who you are, the people that I called, and we had a mini freak out whenever I found out about my Gutenberg winning. There are a few of you that called and screamed and cried with me whenever that happened. I'm really appreciative to you as always. I, of course, want to thank some of the people that I've worked with, especially there at KTAB, David Robinette, fellow ACU alum that taught me a whole lot in my first job, and all the other stations that I've worked with as well. If you're watching tonight, thank you for everything you've done to progress my career. And I have to, for two reasons, take an extra special moment to thank my wife. One, because I forgot to thank her in my Emmy Award speech last year, so I can't do that again. And two, because she is the best person in my life and the biggest supporter I've ever had and ever will have. Katie is the one that's more excited about things than I am whenever I do something well. Even things that I didn't think were all that good, Katie will say, hey, I watched this thing, it was incredible. She's always going to be my biggest supporter, and I can't thank her enough for that. I think honestly that I was picked this year in the midst of COVID and doing things virtually so they could make sure that my speech wouldn't be long and I wouldn't hold too long for joke breaks, so I won't do either of those things here. So in closing, and with the idea of brevity, I do want to speak for just a moment about confidence, the goods and the bads of confidence when it comes to this industry. There is a great deal of overconfidence in this industry, and when you start out, I think it can be a help to you, kind of a fake it till you make it kind of situation. I definitely did. I was not prepared for my first job in live television and faked it a little bit. Just, yeah, I know how to do that. Yes, I'm okay with that. And that overconfidence can get you in the door and get you started the way it needs to, but it can very quickly turn to be the wrong thing if you're not careful. There's a lot of people that continue to let that serve the way they do things and aren't really worried about whether or not they really know something or whether or not they're really listening about something. They're just making sure that they look good while they're doing it or they sound good while they're doing it. They're not too concerned about how truthful it is, how honest it is, and that's a bad thing. When it comes to confidence, I told a group of ACU students a few years ago when I was there for a visiting committee, someone asked me for a piece of advice and I said, don't compare yourself too much to your contemporaries because that can get you into a hole a little bit when you think about what other people are doing. You can become bitter pretty quickly, jealous pretty quickly if you see someone, especially someone you may be on the same level with in terms of school, do something faster than you do or better than you do or get honestly more awards or recognition than you do faster. It's really not important. It'll put you in a bad spot to think that maybe I'm not cut out for this. It takes true confidence to do this job, but the kind of confidence I'm talking about is the confidence it takes to walk up and knock on someone's door or cold call someone whenever something awful has happened to them, and to honestly and confidently say to them, I want to tell your story. I've never been where you are. I need you to help me show the people that are going to watch this or read this what happened to you and why it's important. To have the confidence to tell someone, I don't know how to do this, or I've never heard of that before. Once you really get into your stride in this job, fake it till you make it is no longer good. You have to have the right kind of confidence to do this job well, or you'll burn out on it pretty quickly, or people won't appreciate you for what you're doing. So again, I want to thank all the people that were involved in making this award happen tonight. It really means a lot to me. I've been dreaming about winning this since I was 18 years old, and now that I'm here, I don't think of it as a winning this. I used to when I was 18. Now it just really feels more like something that's being recognized for hard work, and I really, truly appreciate that. Thank you all for watching tonight. Good luck in whatever career you're hoping to achieve there at ACU, and hopefully journalism will be better once you get into it. Thank you again. God bless. Go Wildcats.
Our third honoree tonight is Daniel Johnson Kim. Daniel is the first honoree whose career I've watched from incoming freshman to graduate to professional. Daniel now serves as head of media liaison at 72 Point in New York, which creates stories and data-rich media content for corporations and PR agencies, helping them build their own brands and those of their clients. Daniel is uniquely equipped in that line of work because of his extensive New York news industry experience. Not long after graduating from ACU and earning his master's degree at Columbia, Daniel went to work as a senior visual designer for The Daily, the nation's first tablet-only newspaper. This was nearly a decade ago at a time when some people thought newspapers would continue to go on as they had for just so long. From The Daily, he moved on to serve in a variety of roles at the scrappy New York Daily News. He had a stint at a startup online publication called Slant, where he honed his creativity and his leadership skills. But in every case and in every place, his innate ability and his unending energy have driven him to success despite the industry challenges. Daniel came to JMC as an Abilene kid who had heard about our accredited program and was interested in writing. I think he was more interested in sports at first, but the news and politics bug hit not long after that. The thing I first noticed about Daniel, the first week of his freshman year at ACU, that continues to be the case, is his passionate curiosity. He's never been willing to entertain fuzziness in his understanding of his academic study or of the world around him. He's always asked tough questions as a student, and he always asked tough questions as a student journalist. For that reason, being the faculty advisor to The Optimist when Daniel was in charge wasn't always easy, but the end product was excellence. I have always been proud of his work, and I've always been proud of Daniel. He helped us inaugurate our Student Media News Lab and put our converged curriculum into true practice. He covered challenging stories as an editor, and he did so with a sharpness and an energy that are so rare. That's why The Optimist was named the top student paper in the state of Texas by the Texas Intercollegiate Press Association his senior year. And that's why he has continued to rise to the top in an industry that faces continuing upheaval. Daniel will be open about those challenges facing traditional journalism. But even in an industry that is in such transition, Daniel's persistence, his energy, his curiosity have helped him continue the commitment to excellence that he has as a student. When Daniel graduated, I told him and his fellow students that when we look at our graduates, we as faculty members don't just see them the way they are. We see them the way they will be. We know that they will face great challenges and great opportunities. And in Daniel, we saw real potential for excellence in a competitive industry, and we were not wrong. So it's my pleasure to introduce my friend, Daniel Johnson Kim.
Thank you, Dr. Pybus, and thank you everyone at ACU and the wonderful JMC department for this amazing honor and award. If you had told a young me that I would be accepting a Gutenberg Award from the incredible JMC department at ACU, I probably wouldn't believe you, especially during a global pandemic that has ubiquitously changed all of our lives and transformed life as we know it. To accept this award means a lot to me. I am so thankful for the wonderful professors I had the privilege to learn from at ACU, people like Dr. Pybus, Dr. Bacon, Dr. Merlin Mann, Doug Mendenhall, Cade White, and of course, Doc Marler. They supported me and taught me nearly everything I know about journalism and media, and the lessons I learned from them were invaluable while I navigated the dog-eat-dog media world that is New York City. I'm also thankful for my beautiful wife, Larian. I met her while I was editor of The Optimist and when we were students at ACU, and I honestly can't believe that she continued to date me because I probably spent more time in the Optimist office than I did with her. It was a demanding job, and I'm sure it still is today. Not only did Laram support me in Abilene, But when we moved to New York, she was the constant in my life that was always there for me. I tried my best to also be always there for her. She encouraged me to take chances and supported me in more ways than I can count. She truly is my best friend, and I would not have had the life or career that I do without her support. I love you, Lydia. Te amo. I would also like to thank my mother, Kyung-suk, my sister, Sarah, and her wonderful wife, Ashley, and my father, Mark, and his beautiful wife, Jan. It is with your support and encouragement that I was able to continue to pursue a career in journalism, and it was thanks to you that I am accepting this award today. My journalism career has had many ups and downs, but such is life in media. In fact, I was laid off 3 times before my mid-30s, and I learned from each setback and each layoff and each job I had, and I never gave up pursuing a career in journalism because it's what was my passion, what I loved. My first stop in NYC Media was The Daily. It was a startup founded by News Corps that was supposed to be the newspaper of the future. It wasn't. But I did learn a lot from that experience. I was hired as a hybrid editor and designer, and I had those skills thanks to my experience working in student media and also at the Abilene Reporter News. And I learned so much, and I worked closely with the head of the photo department, the editor-in-chief, and the copy chief of the Daily. When I was laid off, it was my diligence and commitment that helped me land a job at the New York Daily News. Which was once the most read newspaper in the United States. It was in fact the copy chief at the Daily, who I went on to work with at the Daily News, that recommended me for the job, and I'm forever grateful to my now good friend, John Blackwell, for vouching for me and helping me land at the News. At the Daily News, I was once again hired as a hybrid editor and designer, and I loved every moment of working for New York's hometown newspaper. There I worked with legends and veterans that I learned from, and at the beginning, I was assigned the junk pages in the back of the paper, the small work, but I worked hard no matter what I was assigned. In fact, that's great advice for you student journalists out there. Work hard and produce excellent journalism and work no matter what you are assigned. If you can't do an excellent job on the silly assignments and the small stories, how can you ever expect to be assigned the important and big pages and stories? You never know who's watching or reading your work, so you should always be excellent. After proving myself on the little stuff, I was promoted to deputy night editor. They trusted a young kid from Abilene to close the paper 5 days a week, and I was forever grateful for that trust they put in me. I actually left the Daily News to work for another startup called Slant News. It was a company that I founded with other editors from other large media companies like Huffington Post, Bleacher Report, and more. You see, after working for the man, we wanted to build something that was ours, and it was great. We had a wonderful time, but unfortunately that ended up ending as well. And I ended up back at the News. With all that web experience and startup experience and the experience I had at the Daily News before, I actually was able to take the job of night editor. And then I was promoted to head of production. And then I was promoted to director of content. And it was through each step, being diligent and really excelling at what I was assigned, that I was then put in charge of the homepage, social media, design, and interactive design teams. I was fortunate enough during my more than nearly 7 years at the New York Daily News to write several front page headlines, and I was also put in charge of the homepage and social media strategy. And it was a wonderful experience. Now I work for SWNS, a news company that helps brands and companies get coverage and tell stories. And it's actually my media experience that really helps me excel at the current role I'm in. Every step in my career, I learned something. But the best advice I can give any student journalists out there is to work your butt off and don't be a jerk. Media is a small world full of great people and, yes, a handful of jerks. There are also amazing people who are working hard to verify information, report the truth, and cover stories that are essential to a healthy democracy. And every job that I had was thanks to somebody that I worked with that knew I was good and knew I was a good person to work with. So hence my advice, don't be a jerk. And today, media and journalism is especially important. Today in our country and world, when so many leaders and people attack and try to discredit the journalists and media working hard to report the truth, we need to support them more than ever. You know, while our leaders and fellow citizens proudly shout and spread myths, truths, and lies, we should support the people working hard to verify information, report the truth, and cover stories that are essential to a healthy democracy, whether it's local or national or global. Media and journalism is so important to support today. And just let me say, trust verified news sources, not memes. And please look something up before and make sure that it's true before you share it on social media or anywhere, right? So I'm so humbled and thankful to receive this award. And once again, I'd like to thank my wife, my family, and the great professors who taught me so much at ACU. Thank you for everything. Thank you for this wonderful honor and award. And I hope you have a fantastic night. Thanks.
Thanks, Daniel. Congratulations once again. As we close tonight, I want to thank all three of our honorees for being such good sports as we've negotiated the challenges this fall has brought. Each year at this event, I'm reminded of just how fortunate we are to have such an outstanding collection of alumni the world over, as exemplified by our honorees. And this year is no different. Such an accomplished group of alums. I want to thank the JMC faculty and staff, especially ACU-TV Director Hutton Harris, who's been in the producer's chair all evening, making us look good, or as good as possible. And Barb Bush-Lamming, our administrative coordinator, who keeps the JMC machine running on all cylinders every day, all the time. Thanks to Tyler for being our host. And thanks to 99 West Media for their video work. Not everybody knows this, but the Gutenberg event is planned and coordinated by a team from Morrison Mitchell, our student-run ad PR firm. Kate Matthews, a senior ad PR major from Mount Pleasant, is our group account director, and the Gutenberg team consisted of Allie Jones, Rachel Puckett, and Miller Lattisow. The creative team was made up of Maggie Dye and Aubrey Harold. They were led in planning this event by Sydney Villanueva, a senior ad PR major from San Jose, California, who has had probably the hardest Gutenberg planning challenge of anybody in the past 20 years. But she has done an outstanding job, and I couldn't have asked for a better event coordinator. So thanks to Sydney, and to everybody out there, good night.